What is up, everybody? It's your girl, Dr. Kerrie, and welcome to or welcome back to More Than the Bag. I am a serial entrepreneur here in Austin, Texas, realtor, investor, transformational speaker, coach, and author. And I'm super excited to be doing a live podcast interview today with my girl, Vasavi Kumar, who's going to be coming on just here shortly. But y'all are in for a treat. If you are new to More Than the Bag, this podcast is all about helping you chase the right bag. There's so much going on right now. People are chasing all these different ideas that they're seeing on social media. But the goal of this podcast is to help you chase the right bag, your superpower, your calling, because that's what we are made and created to do. So I'm excited to have my girl on here. Man, Vasavi, when we met, oh, the energy was just there. She is the queen of saying it out loud. She is a licensed therapist, host of the Say It Out Loud podcast, which I was a guest on. She's a speaker, an author, and so much more. And I'm excited to have her on here. She has been featured on NBC, VH1, the CW, Fox, Wall Street Journal, MBG. She was on the cover of Austin Women Magazine. Without further ado, y'all welcome my girl, Vasavi. Hey, girl.
I was backstage listening to you speak about me, and I noticed myself being like, wow, that feels really good. Okay, I like this. I just really, it feels really good to hear somebody acknowledge you in that way and celebrate. So thank you for such a beautiful welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Ever since we've met, our energy has been just in alignment since we met at that penthouse in downtown Austin.
I'm laughing because we have some inside jokes that involve another friend, and I just love it. All the whole Android versus iPhone thing. That's the thing that we connected on. We had so much fun. I love you. You walked into the room, and I was like, she is unique. I thought this about you, Dr. Kerrie, when I first saw you. I was like, she is exactly her. You can tell when someone is that is who they are. I could tell by the way you walked into the room, by the way what you wore, the way you styled yourself. I'm so happy to be here. Yes.
Well, I'm happy to have you as well. I'm happy that we're connected, and you mean so much to me in just short amount of time. Like, you've connected me with people, you have spoken positivity into my life, and that I do not take for granted. So thank you for being on here. Anybody that's watching it live now, welcome. Please make sure y'all share your comments, show my girl some love. If you're watching it later on YouTube or listening on iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, we welcome you. We love you. Share this episode out. And without further ado, I'm going to ask my girl Vasavi some questions, okay? So she is the queen of saying it out loud. So what does saying it out loud mean to you, Vasavi? Where did that come from? Share that.
So, little story. When I was younger, my parents would have many arguments with each other out loud. I couldn't go to sleep because they were so loud. Usually my mother was very loud. My father shut down. But when I was a young kid, I would stand in between both my parents. I'd maybe be 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, even later on, even to this day. I stand between them and I would mediate them. And I would say to my mother, okay, you calmly say what you want to say out loud. And I would direct my father, okay, you listen to her. And then I looked to my father and I was like, say something. You say something out loud. You let her know how you feel. Because I knew at that age that everyone was just really frustrated. And if we all just got a chance to say how we truly felt out loud, and we listened to the other person, not from a place of defensiveness or wanting to protect ourselves, but seek to understand, I just knew that everything would be okay. Turns out I did not do very well in healing my parents' relationship. They still fight like cats and dogs. And you know what? God bless them, but it is not my problem. However, I do still fundamentally believe that when we allow ourselves to say what we mean and mean what we say, not water it down, not filter it, not package it, and just allow ourselves to share our truth with other people, we set ourselves free and we set other people free. I want to make it really clear that saying it out loud does not mean just saying anything that's on your mind and just saying what you want. Nope. That honesty without kindness is brutality. All right. But my goal ultimately, even in my book, is about changing your self-talk, changing your inner conversation. Because I believe that when you have a different conversation with yourself, the conversation that you have with other people changes. When the conversation with yourself changes, you exude a different energy because you're no longer weighed down by this heavy story that's not serving you. You create a story and you write a story that's actually supportive of the life that you want. Then you start to feel really good about it. And no matter what happens, no matter what challenges you have, I have the story. Everything's going to work out. You move through the world with that type of vibe and that type of energy. And then, a few months later, you're on your friend's podcast, on More Than the Bag podcast, because you need to move in this world. There's a reason. God does not make mistakes. You were at that penthouse. I was at that penthouse. We both have similar energies that got us to that same place. So saying it out loud is, one, about changing the conversation with yourself so that, two, you can connect with other people authentically. It's a both and. You change what you're telling yourself and about other people and about how this person is and that person is. You change the relationship that you have with yourself, and then the relationship you have with others changes.
Absolutely. I love that. And you wrote that in your book. So I have a sneak peek, y'all, of the copy of the book. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's so good. Y'all are going to be blessed. I'm telling you. And we'll talk about her book a little bit later in this episode, but you shared that story about your parents, right? And being that mediator in there. And so it kind of leads me to my next question. Was that like a really hard obstacle for you, being able to do that? Or was there something else that happened in your life that was a struggle for you? And how did you overcome it? Share whatever you feel free to share.
The hardest obstacle in my life has been, and I did overcome it, the hardest obstacle in my life, and I've most recently overcome it. And I want to say that it hasn't been years. I'm new in this right now. The hardest obstacle for me to overcome was to close the gap between the story about myself from the past, the story that I have about myself today based on the past, and the story of the future that I want to create, and having those two come together peacefully and harmoniously. I'm not saying that the process has to be beautiful, because the process is often very messy, but the result that I want is harmony and integration of all the parts of me, all the dirty little parts of me, the secret parts of me, the things about myself that I haven't forgiven that's weighing me down. I wanted freedom from all of that. But in order to get freedom from all of that, I had to learn how to talk to those parts of myself that felt extreme shame. So the hardest obstacle in my life has been for me to accept myself exactly as I am. The hardest obstacle for me in my life has been to release the shame around things in my life that I thought I should be ashamed of. Oh, I should be ashamed that, I don't look a certain way. I should be ashamed that I don't have this much money in the bank. I should be ashamed that, I'm not this weight, or I don't look that, whatever. We all have our own stuff. For me, it's always been my relationship to my body, food, and money. Those have been those three things, but those are just symptoms of deeper issues, right? What it really always boiled down to me was, am I truly worth the things that I want? I say I want it. I say I'm this person, but do I really believe that I'm worth it? That's the hardest obstacle for me in my life that I had to overcome. And I truly, it feels weird even saying this out loud, but I do feel like right now, right here, I do feel like I have overcome it. I do believe that I am worthy of everything. I do believe that when people want to give to me generously, that they don't have a vendetta. They don't have hidden intentions. I believe that the person that I am and what I'm putting out into the world is someone who is pure and very kind, and people see that. So I'm trusting my purity again. I'm trusting that it's okay for me to lead with love again, and I don't have to live with hardened walls. I don't have to be afraid of someone using me or leaving me or taking advantage of me, because I got me and I trust me. So that's been it. It's to really feel safe inside of my own body. I'm going to be okay no matter what. Wow, even saying that is like really believing it. It's like still new. And I want people to see the newness, because I want to tell people that when you're just new and starting to believe it, you've overcome that hard obstacle. Being in the, oh my God, I've overcome it. Your body and your mind is still going to want to go back to that, because you're used to feeling anxious. You're used to feeling shitty. You're used to feeling whatever the thing. And you're like, wait, I don't feel that way about myself anymore. It's okay for me to feel this confident. It's okay for me to be this clear. It's okay for me to stand in my conviction. So I feel safe in being me, in living in my value, living with my values, and speaking from my values. Speaking from my values is more than anything. Living my values has never really been the difficult part for me. It's been to articulate it and speak it and be proud of it and own it. And just like, this is who I am. So that's really what it is. I know I gave you a multi-layered answer, but all of it is part of.
But you said so much, but I kind of want to go back to, you lead with love and you feel safe with yourself.
Yes.
Right? Like what does that how do people get to that point? How do you feel safe enough with yourself? Because so many people don't trust themselves. They don't love themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What is something like a practical tool to help people get closer to truly feeling safe within themselves when they've gone through something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say community and yourself. But for me, what has worked for me, yes, it's a both and. It's not one and then the other. It's I am my best friend to myself. I am my best friend to myself. When I am sad, I do not kick myself down any lower than I feel. When I'm angry, I don't get angry at myself for feeling angry. You get what I'm saying? Like I am with myself 24/7. Yes, I happen to live alone, but whether you live alone or you're partnered or you're with family, you're still with yourself. You're still always with you, right? You can't escape you. So that was the first thing is like, I speak to myself with kindness in my mind. My mind is a kind place to be. My mind is not warfare anymore. It does not feel like a battleground. And do I ever have intrusive thoughts? Yes, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I have a tiny bit of a chemical imbalance. Yes, I deal with intrusive thoughts. I deal with a traumatized part of my brain that can sometimes, it feels like I'm being attacked, but I know how to speak to that part of my brain that flares up, that's triggered, that a pain from 20 years ago will come up and start speaking to me. I'll be in the kitchen listening to John Mayer washing my dishes, and I'll be transported back to when I was 15 and have an argument in my head. That's my mind messing with me. It's my mind messing with me because I'm peaceful. And then it's like, wait a minute. So I know how to talk to that part of myself. I go, what kind of attention do you need right now? We're fine right now. Why are we causing drama? What's going on? What happened 15 years ago? And I don't shut that voice up. I go, what do you need clarity on? Where is there still an open loop? If my mind is putting something in my attention and I don't get mad about it. I say, oh, there must be something there for me. You're calling my attention. What is it? You do this enough times, you're able to bounce back really quick. I don't get stuck in it anymore. I'll feel it and I'll be like, what's going on? It's like, oh, I think we just need to keep reminding ourselves we're not back there again, boss. We're not back there. Like literally in those moments, that's what I do. I go, we're not back there. So I'm a source of safety for myself. Number one, I literally say out loud in my house. I've said this out loud in the kitchen. We do not judge in this house. We do not shame in this house. I've set the rules in my house as to what the standard is for how I treat myself. And then when people come into my house, that is the vibe and that is the tone of the house. You're going to follow the tone and the standard that I have set in my house. But I set the tone and standard in my house. If you want to be in my life, you match my tone. Otherwise, we do not connect.
Not at all.
That's it. And that's cool, man. If you don't want to follow my tone, that's kind, but go be with somebody else. I have a standard by which I want to live my life. You do not need to be like me, but you do need to respect that this is my home. That this is, and it has taken me so long because you know how much of me has been taken from me and that I've given away to people and just given access to. So I'm in full sovereignty mode. Everything, like it's and I'm okay if you don't vibe with it. It's really okay. Go find your people I'm not the chick for you. I'm not the girl for you. It's okay. I'm finally okay with not being for everyone, Dr. Kerrie. I'm okay with that.
I love that. I love that because a lot of people struggle with that. They feel like they have to have all the accolades and they have to have all the likes and all the follows and be in this clique. And it's like, you need to be okay with yourself first.
100%. And that's the first part. And then from there, you start making friends, right? The biggest lesson, the biggest gift I was given this year, I've always been a good friend. But I started embodying it this year. I've always been a good friend. I'm loyal, ride or die until, I give you a reason to trust you. I trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you. That's my motto. I always have believed I'm a good friend.
You are a good friend. I will say that. You are a great friend.
So, I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah. And what I realized is it's not that I wasn't a good friend. I was just messing with the wrong people. And so I always thought it was me. Guess what? Turns out it wasn't. I just made really bad choices. And yeah, the people that I chose to hang, I own that. I made bad choices because I didn't realize what I was worth. I didn't realize the caliber and quality of person that I was. I didn't see my own quality. So I allowed subpar quality into my life because I didn't see it in my own life. That's not on anybody else. And so this past year, I have developed some of the best friendships I have in my 40s that will last a lifetime. And I know that. I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot of friends. I actually don't. I have, a few friends. You're one of them. We don't talk all the time, you and I. I don't know a lot about your life, to be honest. I know what you've told me, but I don't really need to know. If it comes up, it comes up. It's What we vibe. It's vibration. I don't need to know your whole life story to know that I like you and I trust you.
Yeah.
And I feel safe. And I can say something and I know you're not going to judge me. That's all I need to know. But some of us are so dysregulated that we assume that like chemistry and like, oh, that must mean that no, that could just mean you're just anxious around this person, but you think it's excitement. You know, so I've learned to get myself to a calm state to be able to discern how I feel around other people too. So that's been really helpful. Those two things, myself and my relationship to other people.
Absolutely. I love that. I love it. So my next question for you is, as you have elevated and evolved in life, did life become easier or harder for you?
Oh, wow, Dr. Kerrie, that is a good question. Wow. I got to that's really good.
Sit with that for a second.
Yeah, let me just sit with that because I don't want to answer.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, I'm taking notes over here. I always tell y'all on More Than the Bag, make sure you have your journal and a pen because you never know what you're going to need to take away. So y'all keep diving in with me and Vasavi, and let's see what she has to say about this question here.
Okay, if I'm going to be really honest, it's become easier. Life is easier. Life is simpler. By the way, still got the same shit that I'm dealing with. Still got some stuff here, there. It looks different. It's a different nuance of it, but it's easier because I trust. I trust this is fertile soil. This is inside of me is pure, fertile, God-given fertilizer that anything can bloom. It's pure. It's untainted. I've released these thoughts about myself that I suck. I've released the resentment. I've released all this stuff. And if it comes through, listen, do I ever get resentful? Absolutely. I'm not saying I want everyone to know this. It's not Vasavi never lives with resentment. I know how to clean it out. I say it out loud. I ask myself, what is this conversation about? I talk myself through it. Okay. So I think life has become easier. I mean, anything I say to myself, we're going to be okay. I just know it's going to be okay. What is hard even? What makes things hard? Things are hard when we resist reality. It's not hard when you just look at reality head on and you trust yourself. I question, what is hard? What does that mean for it to be hard? For me, things in my life have felt hard when I'm delusional. I'm not living in the reality. I'm not looking at things straight on. I'm looking at things from a place of fear rather than actually just looking at the facts of what's going on. You know, or for me, things have been hard when I expect things to be a certain way and it's not, and then I'm upset by it. It's like, no, this is what it is. My father, progressively declining with his neurological condition, other than my own recovery and having to surrender with my sobriety with cocaine and feeling powerless in that, my father progressively dying in front of our freaking eyes is the most heart-wrenching thing. And if I don't know what acceptance is, like that, if this is not acceptance, I don't know what is. Because it's getting worse, right? And that is, it's really just being with what is. And it's hard to watch my father, but not resisting his decline makes it easy as far as when I'm with him, I'm just with him at this point. I'm not
You're just present.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't even speak. I just cry. I just cry to him. It's like he's frozen on the inside. It's hard to watch. So it has become easier though. Life has become easier for me. I'm not questioning every move. I tap in, I'm obedient, I listen, I do it. I don't question it. I don't question the voice of God within me. Do I still question like, oh, do I want to buy iceberg lettuce or romaine lettuce? Yes, you get what I'm saying. I don't question the calling though. You get what I'm saying? I know when to question and I know when to shut the heck up and just listen and go and be guided. Big difference.
Okay. I love that. And can we talk about your situation with your father?
Oh yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to, but go ahead.
Yeah. So like going through that, like, and my experience is different because I'm not close with my father. Right. But I was watching some of your story today on Instagram and having that relationship with your father and seeing him, progressively, pass away. As a daughter, you said you sit there and you listen to him, right? And you look at him and you cry. What is that like? Like, what can you explain the emotions and the feelings that are behind that for people that are really connected to their fathers? And and may in the future have to go through that. You never know who's listening or is going through a situation like that now. And yes, your life has gotten easier, but that part of your life,
really hard.
that part of your life is hard. And you're successful, you're moving and you're grooving and doing things, but sometimes life hits us in the gut. And I feel like this is like one of those gut punching moments that you're going through right now. So can you kind of elaborate on that and share some of those emotions?
It's really the hardest thing I've ever had to watch. I'm crying thinking about it because my father is like the most well-spoken man, and he's like an immigrant from India, and he's so generous with people, and he was so smooth, and he always made my mom's life easy. You know, he would make sure when her tank was low in her gas, she wouldn't even have to ask. He would go fill it and come back. He'd always get the groceries. He'd start cooking for my mom because she was a doctor in Brooklyn and his office was on Long Island where we lived. He'd cook for my mom. I grew up having a father who cared about his wife. Now, emotionally, was he all there? No, he was not. But my father, he took care of my mother in the way that he could, right? And he loved her. And as far as him being a girl dad, because my dad was literally the best girl dad, and he was me and my sister. He was so kind to my sister and I. I know I've made some pretty poor choices with men in my life, but the fact is, every single man that I've dated has always been kind to me. In the beginning, like there's always been a familiarity, like a kindness with them. They may have had their own issues, but they were always kind. And I picked that because that's my father. He gave too much of himself. And what I learned, my dad always said, you learn how to be and how not to be from people. People teach you one of two things, how to be and how not to be, or both. My father taught me how to be charming. My father taught me how to instantly make friends. My father taught me how to make people feel comfortable around me. He was very good at making anyone instantly feel comfortable around them. That is a skill, and you cannot fake that. You cannot fake that. And my father taught me, and I watched him do it. And he was because he cared about people. But on the flip, I mean, he gave away his money to people that did not deserve it. And he was just so generous of himself to people that I don't think deserved it. And I also learned that from my father. And I did that in my romantic life. But in my business life, I think the thing that I learned from him was treating people like people. My father would say, service first, money follows. Right. That's what we heard, sir. So I just learned that. So do I have the biggest bank account? No, but I have relationships, and my relationships are my greatest currency. So I trust that bank account will keep growing, right? That's why the season I'm in is I'm building myself back, and I'm here, and my book is coming out. And that's what keeps me grounded. My father said, service first, money follow. If you're not bringing in the money, how much service are you putting out there? How much work how much of yourself are you putting out there? Absolutely. So that's unlocked something in me. But watching him not being able to speak, Dr. Kerrie, when my dad is the life of the party, he has a neurological condition, which is like atypical Parkinson's. He literally cannot speak. He can think, but he can't express it because his brain has taken over his body. So he's stiff. He can't go to the bathroom by himself. He can't walk by himself. He can't shower. He can't go on the toilet by himself. My mom has to sit there with him. I mean, my mother's life has been changed completely, and when I sit there and I just look at him, it's exhausting for me to just keep talking. And I know we can't say anything, and it's frustrating. So yesterday we just looked at each other, and he's frozen. It's a form of palsy. So his face is frozen almost. His eyes are glazed over. And it's like, I'm looking at my father, who used to be the source of such life. And it's like, I'm trying to pour some life into him, and it's just not enough. I just can't do anything. So I just sit there, and the feeling is in my chest and is extremely tight. And it is the most devastating feeling. It hurts and it aches so much, and I can't do anything about it. So I just cry. That's all I do. And I cry and I let it go.
Yeah.
And my mom doesn't like it when I cry in front of him, but he's used to 3 women being emotional. Me, my sister, I don't let my dad see that it doesn't affect me. It affects me. I want him to know. I don't do it to make him feel bad, but I don't know what else to say except this is devastating. I tell my father, this is not fair.
Yeah.
Not fair to you. He's like the nicest guy in the world. He never uttered anything unkind about anyone. I think I've heard him say one unkind thing, and it was towards someone who said something about me.
Right.
It's not fair. So, yeah. It's devastating, and I still got work to do. It may sound, I don't let it debilitate me. I am not going to let my father getting sick and getting old and slowly progressively dying is like any other external circumstance that can get in my way. I hate to say that. It's just another external event that is happening.
Yeah.
And that is how I stay rooted in my purpose, because I'm gonna be debilitated and stagnant and not live in my purpose and do what I'm supposed to do because my father's dying. How does that help anybody? So I'm gonna die along with him? No, I'm not. I'm not gonna die along with him.
No.
I love showing my dad my book. I want my dad to listen to my Audible. I want him to hear my interviews. I'm gonna stop living my purpose because his life is the way it is. No, I don't do that. So that's how I coexist with both.
I love that your life is not stopping.
No.
Because so many people, whether it's their kids, their spouse, their parents, like they stop their lives. They stop living, or some of them have not even began to live because of the external situation. So the fact that your life has gotten easier, but you're dealing with this hard situation right now, but you have a book coming out, you're still doing your thing. You still have your podcast. Like you got 6 interviews tomorrow. Like
I have my property in Mexico.
Property in Mexico. You're still moving. And I love that because so many people stop. So if y'all don't take anything away from this podcast episode today, keep moving forward. Like that's what I'm hearing is keep moving forward. Don't let any external situation stop you from moving forward in your life and going after your purpose, because you are called to help so many people. And I really want you to share more about your book. How can they pre-order all of that? Because your book is going to change so many lives by just saying it out loud. Like you just said so much in this short episode, and I'm grateful. So how can people connect with you, and tell us about your book real quick first, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. You can always follow me on Instagram. My name is Vasavi.
It's down here.
Yeah. Yes, my name is Vasavi. And if you want to get my book, go to sayitoutloudbook.com. I'm very excited, y'all, because for anyone who buys my book, there are a bunch of free bonuses, instant access to my meditations and my mini courses on being a more confident speaker, being free to be you. But then the live component is that we are going to have a virtual Say It Out Loud book club in June, dates to be decided. But it's going to be a month with me. There are 12 chapters in the book. We're knocking out 3 chapters a week. We're doing a crash course in saying it out loud. If anyone has ever been a part of any of my groups, you know that you don't join my groups and not talk. If you're going to join my groups, I'm going to make you speak. This is not the kind of place where it's like, oh, you can shut your camera off and not talk. No, if you're in my presence, you're going to be seen and heard. This is not the environment where you're not seen and heard. I want you to be seen and heard. It's safe for you to be seen and heard. So yes, we're going to all get together. So a lot of times you buy people's books and you never get to meet the author. That's not going to happen. We're going to have our virtual book club in June. So please go ahead and pre-order sayitoutloudbook.com, available everywhere. Feel free to order more than one copy for your team, your community, your mastermind, your organization. If you have people in your life that could really benefit from changing their self-talk, if they're not nice to themselves, you know that they're beating themselves up, getting them down, buy them copies, your employees, your organization, your friends, your family. Thank you so much for your support.
Absolutely. I love that, Vasavi. And just to end out on more than the bag, like I said, your bag is your superpower. It's your calling. So how are you more than the bag, Vasavi?
I give people the benefit of the doubt always. I say the way that you are treating me right now is not because of me. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that you are in pain right now and you are hurting right now. I do not take it personally. My father taught me that. My father taught me that we would get Dunkin' Donuts drive-through coffee. I was 8 years old, and the woman at the window was kind of rude to him. And I said to my father after we drove off, how come you didn't say anything back to her? My dad said, I have no idea what kind of morning she had before she got to work. That has nothing to do with me. And so for me, I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And I've also started giving myself the benefit of the doubt. I've also given myself a little grace. Sometimes I won't respond back for 2 days. And I used to give myself a lot of shit for that and say, I'm tired. When I get back to you, it's because I truly want to get back to you, and it'll be filled. I don't just do things. It's like, I got to do it. I don't do that to myself. So, just really be kind to yourself and, give yourself the benefit of doubt and stop being so hard on yourself. Thank you.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for being a guest on More Than the Bag. For everybody that is tuned in live, or like I said, if you're going to watch it later, it is going to be available on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcast. Make sure you share this episode with a family member, a coworker, whoever really needs to say it out loud, because it's season 4, episode 5, and we're saying it out loud. Fix the self-talk, do what you need to do to continue following your purpose, and be great in the world. Y'all make sure y'all stay anchored with your girl on Instagram at Dr._Kerrie, Dr._Kerrie. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much, Vas.
Thank
And
you.
until next time, y'all stay anchored and y'all stay blessed.